Nobody in space wanted to go near Earth. For many years, the Galactic Council had placed a big red warning sign next to the solar system on their star maps. This wasn't unusual. Many star systems had warnings, but Earth's warning was special, and not for the reason most people would think. Joe Wilson looked at his computer screen at the NASA Deep Space Station. His eyes were tired after a long shift. The strange energy readings had shown up again on his monitor. These signals always appeared at the edge of the solar system, then quickly disappeared before anyone could study them properly. "There's another one," said Nancy Reed from her desk across the room. "Just like yesterday. Whatever is out there comes close to our solar system, then turns around and leaves fast." Joe nodded slowly. "That's the fifth one this month. They're coming more often now." The NASA team had been tracking these mysterious visitors for 3 years. At first, they thought the signals might be mistakes or computer errors. Now they were sure something was approaching Earth, then changing its mind. "Do you think they're afraid of us?" Nancy asked during their coffee break. Joe laughed. "Why would advanced aliens who can travel between stars be afraid of humans? We can barely get to our own moon these days." Nancy shrugged. "Maybe they've been watching our TV shows. All those alien invasion movies might have given them the wrong idea." But the truth was much more frightening than either of them could imagine. 5 miles below the surface, in a place no human had ever visited, something ancient was starting to wake up. It had been sleeping there since before the first humans walked the Earth, since before the dinosaurs. The increasing vibrations from human activities, drilling, mining, nuclear tests, had disturbed its long rest. Back at NASA, Job noticed something new in the data. These energy readings, they're not just moving away from Earth, they're sending signals. Signals. Nancy moved to look at his screen. "Like communication?" "No," Joe said, his voice serious. "More like warnings. They're telling others to stay away." Dr. Pete Myers, the head scientist, joined them at the computer. He had been studying space communications for 30 years. "Those aren't random signals," he said after looking at the data. "That's a quarantine protocol." "Quarantine," Joe and Nancy said together. "Yes, these visitors aren't afraid of humans," Dr. Myers explained. "They're following orders to stay away from Earth. Someone out there has marked our planet as dangerous." The 3 scientists looked at each other, the same question in their minds. Why? That night, small earthquakes were reported in 7 locations around the world. Nothing serious, barely enough to notice. But deep underground, the tremors meant something important was happening. In his apartment, Joe couldn't sleep. He stood by his window, looking up at the stars. For the first time, he felt afraid of what might be out there. Or maybe, he thought as a chill ran down his spine, what might be down here with us? The next morning, more strange readings appeared on NASA's computers. But this time, they weren't coming from space. They were coming from inside the Earth. Professor Ben White led his team of 5 scientists down the narrow cave passage. They were in Idaho, where unusual earthquake patterns had been reported for the past month. What started as a simple research trip had turned into something much more exciting when they found this strange cave system. "The radiation meter is showing higher readings," said Linda Clark as she checked her small handheld device. "Nothing dangerous yet, but not normal for a cave." Ben stopped walking and pointed his flashlight at the cave wall. "Look at this," he said quietly. "This isn't natural." The wall had strange patterns that looked almost like computer circuits, but they were somehow part of the rock itself. The lines glowed faintly blue in the dark cave. "I've been studying caves for 20 years, said Rick Jones, touching the patterns with his gloved hand. "I've never seen anything like this before." The team moved deeper into the cave, their lights making strange shadows on the walls. Suddenly, the narrow passage opened into a huge underground room. Their flashlights weren't strong enough to show the ceiling, but what they did see made them all stop and stare. In the center of the cave floor was a large metal object, partly buried in the rock. It was smooth and dark gray, with no rust despite clearly being very old. Strange symbols covered its surface. "What is that?" asked Maria Diaz, the youngest team member. "Something that shouldn't be here," Ben replied. "Something that can't be human-made." Rick took out his camera and started taking pictures. "Look how the rock has formed around it. This thing must be millions of years old." Linda was walking slowly around the object, her radiation meter making soft beeping sounds. "The radiation is coming from this thing. It's giving off some kind of energy." Just then, a deep rumble shook the cave, sending small rocks falling from above. The metal object began to glow slightly brighter. "We need to report this immediately," Ben said, pulling out his satellite phone. "And we need more equipment down here." 3 days later, the cave was filled with government scientists and military personnel. The small entrance had been widened, and powerful lights now showed the true size of the underground chamber. It was larger than a football field, and the metal object in the center was just one of several strange structures now being uncovered. In a makeshift office near the cave entrance, Ben met with Dr. Helen Ford, a government scientist who had arrived that morning. "What do you think it is?" Ben asked her. Helen showed him photos on her tablet. "We're finding similar objects at 6 other locations around the world, all of them buried deep underground, all starting to show signs of activity." "Activity?" Ben asked, feeling uneasy. "Energy readings are increasing. And look at this." She showed him satellite images of the night sky, the objects in space that have been approaching Earth and leaving. There are more of them now, and they're staying farther away. Ben looked at the images, trying to understand what it all meant. "So whatever these things are underground, the aliens know about them." Helen nodded. "We think these buried objects are some kind of technology left here a very long time ago. And whatever is out there in space is afraid of them." Just then, another earthquake shook the camp. This one was stronger than before. "That's the 3rd one today," said Rick, entering the tent. "And I found something else you need to see." He led them back into the cave, to a newly uncovered section. On the wall was a large carved image that made them all stop breathing for a moment. It showed Earth being torn apart from the inside. Mary Phillips looked at the screens in the control room of the newly formed Earth Anomaly Research Center. As the lead scientist, she had been working nonstop for 2 weeks since the discovery of the strange objects buried deep underground. "The energy readings are getting stronger," said Fred Walker, pointing to a chart on his computer. "Whatever these things are, they seem to be waking up." Mary nodded, her face serious. "It's happening at all 7 sites around the world. Idaho, Brazil, Egypt, Russia, Australia, Japan, and South Africa, all showing the same pattern." The room was filled with scientists and military personnel working at computers. Maps on the wall showed the 7 locations where the mysterious objects had been found. Red lines connected them, forming a pattern across the globe. "It's like they were placed at these exact spots on purpose," said Fred. "But who put them there? And why?" Before Mary could answer, a young scientist ran into the room. "Dr. Phillips, the object in Idaho just moved." Everyone rushed to the main screen, which now showed live video from inside the Idaho cave. The metal structure was glowing brighter now, and part of it had risen slightly from the rock that had held it for millions of years. "Get everyone out of that cave now," Mary ordered. "All sites need to be evacuated immediately." As alarms sounded and people rushed to follow her orders, Mary's phone rang. It was General Bill Adams from the Pentagon. "Dr. Phillips, are you seeing the satellite feeds?" he asked, his voice tense. "No, we're dealing with movement at the Idaho site," she replied. "You need to see this. I'm sending it to your main screen now." The big screen changed to show a view from space. Dozens of objects were visible at the edge of the solar system, more than they had ever seen before. "What are they doing?" Mary asked. "Nothing. They're just watching," said General Adams. "But there's something else. We're picking up signals between them. Our computers just translated some of it. Text appeared on the screen. HESEEDERS awaken. Maintain QEAR in Tidine. Prepare for EXTINC protocol. Mary felt cold fear run down her spine. Extinction protocol. They're planning to attack us. We don't think so, said General Adams. Based on their positions, they appear to be preparing to attack whatever is waking up inside Earth, not humans. Just then, all 7 sites reported the same thing. The objects were moving, rising from their ancient resting places. In Idaho, the cave floor began to crack as the metal structure pushed upward. Scientists and soldiers ran for the exit as rocks fell around them. Similar scenes played out at the other 6 locations around the world. In orbit, astronaut John Parker watched from the International Space Station. Houston, I can see light coming from the ground. Bright blue light, breaking through the surface in multiple locations. Houston didn't respond. All communications were suddenly filled with static. Back at the research center, all the computers stopped working at once. Then the lights went out. In the darkness, Mary looked at her phone. It was dead too. It's an electromagnetic pulse, she said. Something just knocked out all our technology. From outside the building came a low humming sound that grew louder by the second. The ground began to shake. Fred looked out the window. My God, he whispered. Look at the sky. Above them, the blue sky was turning dark as thousands of objects entered Earth's atmosphere. The aliens had decided to break their quarantine. But they weren't coming for humans. They were coming to stop what humans had accidentally awakened. Something ancient was rising, and the real reason Earth had been avoided for millions of years was about to be revealed. President Sam Wilson sat at the head of the large table in the underground bunker. Around him were military leaders, scientists, and government officials. Everyone looked worried. So what exactly is happening? The president asked, his voice tired. He had been awake for 30 hours straight as the crisis unfolded. General Kate Rodriguez pointed to the map on the wall. Sir, the objects have now fully emerged at all 7 sites. They appear to be some kind of towers, about 500 feet tall. They're made of a material we can't identify. Dr. Mary Phillips, who had been brought to the bunker from the research center, spoke next. The towers are sending out energy pulses. These pulses are affecting our electronics and seem to be communicating with each other. And the aliens? The president asked. Thousands of ships entered our atmosphere 3 hours ago, said General Rodriguez. They're positioning themselves above each tower. So far, they haven't made any aggressive moves toward humans. Just then, a young officer rushed into the room. Mr. President, we're receiving a transmission. It's coming from the alien ships. Everyone went quiet as a screen on the wall turned on. There was no image, just a voice speaking perfect English. People of Earth, we are the alliance of 17 worlds. We have maintained the quarantine of your planet for millions of your years. The objects you have disturbed are not meant to be awakened. They are dangerous to all life in the galaxy. The president leaned forward. This is President Wilson. What are these objects? Why are they on our planet? There was a pause before the alien voice answered. They are seeds, left by the harvesters, an ancient race that consumed worlds. We thought they were dormant, safely contained. Your species' activities have triggered their awakening cycle. Everyone in the room looked at each other in shock. What do these seeds do? Asked Dr. Phillips. They transform planets into vessels for the harvesters. The alien replied. They consume all resources, all life, then move on to the next world. Your Earth was seeded 65 million years ago. The impact that ended your dinosaur age was a harvester ship. The president looked pale. Are you here to help us? Another pause. We are here to stop the seeds from fully activating. This may require extreme measures. General Rodriguez stood up. Are you threatening to destroy our planet? Only as a last resort, said the alien voice. We hope to disable the seeds before that becomes necessary. But you should know, they are already fighting back." As if on cue, the bunker shook with a powerful tremor. On the screen showing the outside world, they could see one of the towers firing a beam of blue light at an alien ship. The ship exploded in a ball of fire. "My God," whispered someone at the table. "We need your cooperation." The alien voice continued. "The seed towers will defend themselves. They will see all technology as potential threats or resources to absorb. They will begin converting your planet's core into their power source." The president stood up. "What can we do to help?" "First, evacuate all people from a 100-mile radius around each tower. Second, we need access to your deepest underground facilities. The main control system of the seeds is located beneath your planet's crust." Dr. Phillips looked up sharply. "The earthquakes we've been detecting in the Pacific Ocean." "Yes," said the alien. "The master seed is awakening under your ocean floor. If it fully activates, nothing will stop the transformation of your world." The president looked around the room, then back at the screen. "We'll cooperate, but I need your word that you'll do everything possible to save Earth and its people." "We will try," said the alien voice. "But you must understand, the harvesters destroy thousands of worlds before we stop them. Their technology is designed to survive at all costs." Outside, more alien ships were arriving. The battle for Earth had begun. Steve Baker held tightly to the helicopter seat as it flew over the Idaho countryside. As a military engineer, he had been chosen to join the alien team heading to the tower site. Looking out the window, he could see the massive black structure rising from the ground, glowing with blue lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. 2 minutes to landing zone," the pilot announced over the radio. Next to Steve sat a being that wasn't human. The alien called itself Zorn and represented the alliance of 17 worlds. It looked almost human except for its blue-tinted skin and large, dark eyes. This was the first time humans were working directly with aliens, and everyone was nervous. "Your weapons will not harm the seed tower," Zorn said in a calm voice. "But they may slow down the smaller units it will release." "Smaller units?" Steve asked, checking his equipment. "Harvester technology works by spreading. The tower will send out machines to gather materials and convert life forms. We must stop them before they multiply." The helicopter landed half a mile from the tower in a field that had been set up as a military base. Soldiers and scientists moved quickly around the area, preparing for whatever might happen next. Colonel Laura Harris met them as they climbed out of the helicopter. "The tower is becoming more active," she reported, "and we're detecting movement inside it." Zorn looked toward the distant tower. "It has begun. We must hurry." From the base of the tower, small objects were emerging. Through binoculars, Steve could see they were metallic, spider-like machines about the size of dogs. They moved quickly, spreading out in all directions. "Those are resource collectors," Zorn explained. "They will break down any material they find and return it to the tower." High above, alien ships fired energy beams at the tower, but a shield of blue light protected it. Other alien ships were targeting the spider machines, destroying many of them, but more kept coming. "We need to get closer," Zorn said. "The control center will be underneath the tower." Colonel Harris pointed to several armored vehicles. "We have transport ready." As they drove toward the tower, Steve saw the spider machines attacking trees, rocks, and even abandoned cars. Everything they touched seemed to dissolve into small particles that the machines collected. "They're taking everything apart," he said in horror. "Converting matter into building materials," Zorn replied. "The tower is growing." Looking up, Steve could see that the tower was indeed larger than before. It had also changed shape, with new sections extending from its sides. Suddenly, their vehicle stopped. Ahead of them, the ground was moving, breaking apart as something pushed up from below. A new tower, smaller than the first, was emerging. "Secondary growth," Zorn said, real fear in his voice for the first time. "The process is accelerating." The radio crackled. "Colonel Harris, We're getting reports of similar growths appearing within a 20-mile radius of all 7 primary towers. The colonel looked at Zorn. How do we stop this? The Master Seed controls all others, the alien replied. In your Pacific Ocean, we must disable it. Just then, a massive tremor shook the ground. Even the alien ships in the sky seemed to waver. What was that? Steve asked. Zorn's face showed deep concern. The Master Seed is fully awake now. It is beginning the final phase, connecting all 7 primary sites to form the vessel structure. Colonel Harris looked confused. Vessel structure? What does that mean? It means, Zorn said quietly, that the harvester technology is preparing to convert your entire planet into a ship, one that will travel to other worlds and repeat the process. Above them, more alien ships were arriving, thousands of them, filling the sky. The Guardians of the Galaxy had come in full force to stop the ancient threat that had been sleeping under Earth's surface. But they might already be too late. Jane Cooper stood on the deck of the aircraft carrier U.S. Lincoln, watching alien ships fly overhead. The massive carrier was part of a joint human-alien operation heading to a point in the Pacific Ocean where the Master Seed was located, deep underwater. It's strange, isn't it? Said Captain Roy Adams, joining her at the rail. A week ago, we didn't even know aliens existed. Now we're working with them to save Earth. Jane nodded. As the leading expert on the strange technology they'd found, she had been brought onto this mission to help understand what they were fighting. Zorn says the Master Seed is 5 miles below the ocean floor, she said. The plan is to use their drilling technology to reach it, then plant devices that will shut it down. The ocean around them was behaving strangely. Unusual waves formed patterns that didn't look natural, and the water near the ship glowed faintly blue in some places. It knows we're coming, Captain Adams said quietly. On the flight deck, alien craft landed next to human helicopters. Zorn and 3 other aliens walked toward the bridge, carrying equipment unlike anything humans had ever seen. Inside the ship's command center, military leaders from several countries gathered around a large table with the aliens. Admiral Dan Scott spoke first. Our submarines have mapped the ocean floor in this area. There's definitely something large down there, and it's changing shape. Zorn placed a device on the table that projected a 3D image in the air. It showed a massive structure beneath the ocean floor, with roots extending deep into the earth. The Master Seed has been growing for millions of years, Zorn explained, very slowly to avoid detection. Now that it's fully awake, it will work quickly to connect all 7 primary sites. And then what happens? Asked Jane. Zorn's large eyes looked sad. Then it begins the final transformation. Your planet's core will be converted into an engine. The crust will be reshaped into a vessel. Most life will be consumed for materials. A heavy silence fell over the room. How much time do we have? Admiral Scott asked. Hours, not days, replied Zorn. The process has already begun. Just then, the ship shook violently. Alarms sounded throughout the carrier. Something's attacking the hull, shouted an officer. On the screens, cameras showed small metallic creatures climbing up the sides of the ship. They looked like the spider machines from the towers, but designed for water. Resource collectors, Zorn said. They found us. Outside, both human and alien fighters took off, targeting the machines, but there were hundreds of them, maybe thousands, rising from the water. The drilling mission must continue, Zorn insisted. It's our only chance. Admiral Scott nodded. We'll protect the drilling team as long as we can. Jane followed Zorn to the launch area where a special craft waited, a combination of alien and human technology designed to drill through the ocean floor. I'm coming with you, she told Zorn. It will be dangerous, the alien warned. I understand these machines better than anyone else, Jane replied. You might need me down there. As they prepared to leave, reports came in from around the world. The towers were growing larger, connecting to each other with structures that rose high into the sky. In some areas, the ground was transforming, becoming metallic and smooth. Zorn received a message from the Alliance fleet. "The quarantine is broken," he told Jane. "More ships are coming, not just Alliance vessels, but others from across the galaxy. Some to help, some to watch, some perhaps to take advantage of the situation." Jane looked out at the strange patterns in the ocean. What created these harvester seeds in the first place? What kind of beings would make something so terrible? Zorn was quiet for a moment. "We don't know for certain. They disappeared long ago, possibly destroyed by their own creation. But their legacy remains, a technology that sees planets as nothing but resources to be consumed." The drilling craft was ready. Jane took a deep breath as she climbed aboard. Their mission was simple but nearly impossible. Reach the heart of an ancient alien machine and somehow shut it down before it transformed Earth into something unrecognizable. Behind them, the battle for the surface continued. The drilling machine pushed through the last layer of rock. Jane Cooper and Zorn stared through the viewport at what lay beyond. A massive chamber, miles wide, glowing with blue light. In the center floated a structure that looked like a giant metal heart, pulsing with energy. "The Master Seed," whispered Zorn, just as the ancient records described it. Their small craft entered the chamber. Jane felt a strange pressure in her head, as if something was trying to read her thoughts. "It knows we're here," she said. "Yes," Zorn replied. "The harvester technology is semi-conscious, not alive, but aware." They moved closer to the central structure. Around it floated smaller machines, working on different parts of the chamber walls, converting the rock into smooth metal. "We need to place the disruptor device directly on the control node," Zorn explained, pointing to a spot on the heart-like structure. "But those worker units will try to stop us." As they approached, alarms sounded in their craft. The worker machines had noticed them and were moving to intercept. "I'll distract them," Jane said, taking control of the craft. "You get ready with the device." Above them, on Earth's surface, the final battle was raging. Human and alien forces fought side by side against the spreading harvester technology. The 7 towers had grown so tall they reached into space, forming a framework around the planet. President Wilson watched from the emergency bunker as reports came in from around the world. Some cities were already lost, converted into strange metallic landscapes. Millions of people had been evacuated to safe zones, but many more were still in danger. "Sir," said an aide, "the Alliance commander is requesting to speak with you." On the screen appeared the face of a being similar to Zorn but older, with markings on its blue skin. "President Wilson, I am Commander Velk of the Alliance fleet. I must inform you of a difficult decision we may need to make." The president straightened in his chair. "What decision?" "If the mission to disable the Master Seed fails, we have only one option left to prevent the harvester from spreading to other worlds." Commander Velk paused. "We must destroy Earth." The room went silent. "Destroy the entire planet?" President Wilson finally asked. "Yes. The Alliance has weapons capable of breaking a planet apart. It would be a last resort, but we cannot allow a fully formed harvester vessel to leave your solar system." Deep below the ocean, Jane flew the craft in a wild pattern, drawing the worker machines away from Zorn, who had left in a smaller pod heading for the central heart. The workers chased her, firing energy beams that rocked the craft. "Zorn, how much longer?" she called over the radio. "Almost there," came the reply. "The disruptor needs 2 minutes to activate once I place it." Suddenly, the entire chamber shook. Above, one of the towers had been destroyed by the combined forces of human and alien weapons. The Master Seed responded by sending out a powerful energy pulse. Jane's craft was hit, spinning out of control. As she struggled to regain control, she saw Zorn's pod reach the central heart. He was attaching the device when several worker machines surrounded him. "Zorn," she cried. "It's done." His voice came through, weak and breaking up. "The disruptor is active. You must leave now, Jane." "What about you?" "Too late for me. The workers have me. Tell your people, It was an honor to fight alongside Earth. In the bunker, Commander Velk's face showed surprise. We're detecting an energy change in the master seed. The disruptor is working. President Wilson leaned forward. So Earth is saved. Not yet, said Commander Velk. The harvester system is fighting back. There is still a chance it will overcome the disruptor. What can we do? Asked the president. Make a choice, replied Commander Velk. The disruptor has weakened the master seed enough that your most powerful weapons might destroy it completely. But using such weapons so deep in Earth's crust could have devastating consequences for your planet. What kind of consequences? Massive earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. Parts of the planet might become uninhabitable. President Wilson closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his decision was made. Better a damaged Earth than no Earth at all. Give the order. As nuclear missiles fired at all 7 tower sites, penetrating deep into the Earth's crust, Jane's damaged craft raced toward the surface. Behind her, the Master Seed's chamber began to collapse. The choice had been made. Earth would survive, changed forever, but still home to humanity. And in space, the quarantine signs were finally removed from the star charts of 1,000 worlds.